So what if our biggest global problems aren't actually about building something new from scratch? What if it's more about weaving together what we already have? We're about to unpack a pretty radical idea called ZYRO HIVE. It's a blueprint for rewiring our planet, not to extract more value, but to finally complete it.
Right out of the gate, the creators of this whole concept make this incredibly bold claim. They say, hey, we didn't invent this. We're just showing you an architecture that's already hidden inside your own world. So this isn't some top-down solution being forced on us. It's about unlocking a potential that's apparently been ours all along. It's a fascinating way to frame this.
Okay, think about it like this. Our core utilities, energy, water, communications, they're like these individual, super powerful threads. They're incredibly strong on their own. But the source material asks this really critical question. Who's actually weaving all those threads into a coherent tapestry? And the kind of alarming answer is, well, nobody. So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to diagnose the core problem, something they call scale blindness. Then we'll uncover a really surprising anchor for the solution, break down how this whole engine actually works, and finally, look at the ultimate payoff, this huge shift from an economy of extraction to one of completion.
Okay, let's get right to the heart of the issue. Why do our systems seem to keep failing in these complex, interconnected ways? Well, the source points to one central diagnosis, something it calls scale blindness.
I mean, it's such a simple question, but the consequences are massive. When our leaders and institutions are stuck in their own silos, focused only on their one little piece of the puzzle, the whole system just becomes brittle. They might be optimizing their part perfectly, but they're completely blind to the dangerous ripples they're creating everywhere else.
And here it is, the formal definition. Scale blindness is when an institution is literally built to see only its own piece of a problem. It's designed to optimize for its own metrics, completely missing the interconnected reality of the world. And that's not just a blind spot. It's a fundamental design flaw that basically guarantees these cascading failures we see all the time.
This case study from a storm in Portugal just illustrates the concept perfectly. I mean, just look at this table. The forestry agencies saw timber yields, but they totally missed the risk from all the shallow-rooted trees they planted. The energy companies saw downed power lines, but missed how vulnerable their whole transmission system was. And the emergency services? They just saw blocked roads. You see, each one was solving their own problem, while the real disaster, the interconnected failure of the whole system, was completely invisible to all of them.
So, if all our systems are fragmented and broken apart, where in the world do we find an anchor strong enough to weave them all back together? Well, the answer proposed here is genuinely surprising. It's not some flashy new tech platform or a new government agency. It's the humble, often overlooked, industrial-age utility.
So, why the utility? It seems a bit old school, right? Well, it turns out it has this really unique set of properties. For one, it's physically rooted in a specific place. It's also legally obligated to serve the public good. It thinks in 50 to 100-year timelines, not just next quarter's profits. And maybe most critically, it is the physical hardware, the substrate, that already connects everyone and everything in a region.
Now, this is a really, really crucial distinction. The utility isn't meant to be the new boss or the hero of the story. It's the sovereign spaceholder. All that means is it provides the stable, neutral foundation. It holds the space so that a more integrated intelligent system can be built on top of it. It's the anchor, not the captain of the ship.
Okay, so we've got the problem, scale blindness, and we've got the anchor, the utility. Now let's look at the engine that connects them. How does this ZYRO HIVE thing actually work?
So the core mechanism is something called the regenerative entity, or RE for short. The easiest way to think of it is as a purpose-built team. It's not the utility trying to do everything alone. It's a unique coalition that brings together the utility's stability, the capital from investors, and the absolutely critical on-the-ground knowledge of community stewards. The E's superpower is what the source calls the 5-scale lens. It's the ability to see and act across every single level at the same time, from the health of microbes in the soil all the way up to global climate patterns. This is what allows it to connect dots that are normally totally invisible, like figuring out how restoring a local watershed can actually reduce the cooling costs for a giant data center miles away.
And this engine, it operates in a self-improving loop. First, the team maps out what they call completable value. That's all the latent potential just sitting there, like turning a flood-prone area into a wetland that captures carbon. Then, they bootstrap the project with just 1% of that total potential value. They complete that first small circuit, prove that it works, and then use the returns and the learnings to fund the next, even more ambitious cycle.
It's an engine that literally learns and grows with every single turn.
But this is where the economic model gets truly radical. When all that new value is created, where does it go? In a typical model, it would all flow out to distant shareholders. But in this model, a staggering amount of it stays right there, in the community. And that amount is 98%.
Yep, you heard that right. An incredible 98% of the value stays with the local coalition, the RE that created it. Only a tiny 2% is taken as a metabolic fee, which is basically just a small tax to keep the lights on for the whole network. This is the complete, total opposite of an extractive model. It's designed to build wealth and resilience from the ground up.
So what does all this add up to? Let's look at the ultimate payoff. This isn't just a new process we're talking about. It's a fundamental shift from an economy of extraction to an economy of completion.
And the shift is it's fundamental. On the left, you've got the old extractive model. It's linear, it's wasteful, and it's all about pulling value out. On the right, you have the completion model. It's cyclical and it's generative. Value flows within the system. Problems that used to be liabilities, like waste heat from a factory, they become assets that can be completed. And that rigid top-down control gives way to this nimble, smart coalition of co-creators.
And here's the crucial part. Everyone in the coalition wins. It's a true win-win-win. As you can see here, the anchor utility gains vital intelligence about its entire territory. The commercial investor doesn't just get a simple return, they make their whole portfolio more resilient. And the community stewards, they get direct compensation for their knowledge and, importantly, a real seat at the governance table.
And this brings us right back to the beginning. The true, hidden power of our existing infrastructure isn't in the new things we can build, but in the connections that are already there. The connection between the watershed and the data center, between the soil and the transmission tower. ZYRO Hive is just the protocol that lets us finally see and value those connections.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. This whole model suggests that maybe, just maybe, our most wicked, intractable problems aren't actually unsolvable at all. Maybe we've just been scale blind. So the final question isn't just for global systems, it's for all of us. What problems have we called unsolvable simply because we couldn't see all the pieces at once?